So I was thinking about the statistics of how most truck drivers, or actually I shouldn't even say truck drivers, most people that become a truck driver, maybe I should even correct that, most people that get their Class A CDL do not make it in the industry. And I was thinking, I remember my first over-the-road job. And I remember working for Great Coastal. And I remember the first trip I ran from Richmond, Virginia to Valparaiso, Indiana, to an Aldi's factory. And I remember never doing over-the-road work before. And I think I've told this story before, but I remember being so tired and pulling into a little hole-in-the-wall rest area. I think it was on 30, either 30 or 35 in Ohio. And I remember going to sleep and waking up in the middle of the night and diving through the curtain and grabbing the steering wheel because I thought I fell asleep driving. This was my very first trip. It was really weird.
Yeah, because you had to dive through the curtain.
Yeah, I'm serious. And there was 2 truck drivers standing outside my window talking, and I guess they could hear me screaming as I grabbed the steering wheel. I'm serious. This is a true story because, you know, when you first start trucking, and like I said, this goes back to, I was thinking of these stats, how most truck drivers don't make it. And I believe a lot of them don't make it because they don't give themselves a chance after the initial shock of being gone and learning to become what I call a robot.
Yeah, I could see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of give some of these new guys that are coming into the industry a little encouragement. You're going to feel like somebody's ripping your discs out of your back the first week.
Yes.
If you're not used to sitting for 3,000 miles.
Possibly punching in the kidneys.
I mean, like some people get in a car and they go on vacation, they drive 500 miles and they think that's a killer trip. But a trucker does it and then he goes and takes a nap and then gets back up and does exactly the same thing over.
Yes.
And then he takes a nap and then he does it over. And so a lot of these guys coming into the industry, you know, they think, and, you know, hats off to them. I'm going to be a traveler and get paid. And we all do like that part of it. But only the few, get past the initiation that the trucking world gives you. And one of those, and this is really what I want to talk about, one of those initiations trucking gives you is the test of your body sitting still. See, a lot of people might think that's an easy job, just sitting still, chilling out and driving. This ain't like cruising on a Saturday night with your girlfriend, okay? Trucking is a job, okay? And so when you come into this, drivers, we've talked before about the other pitfalls, you know, being gone from home and, you know, weather and all this other stuff.
Right.
But really all I want to tell everybody about today is it's the initial training your body and your mind to become a robot. It's true. Your first 3,000 miles is a nightmare. Most drivers can't some guys can probably remember back when they first got in the truck and they were driving and they were like, oh my God, it's a mother. It's a I shouldn't say a mother. It's a real hassle to, you know, get your body to sit for 3,000. Yeah, if you run 3,000 miles, you know, you're probably talking 60, 70 hours sitting. And I don't think most people take that into account when they're going to school and they're all having fun, you know. Oh, we're going to be truckers. Yay. Hey, we're going to go see the world.
No, I don't think they take that in account. What a lot of them think of is, I really like to go away. I love to go bye-bye. I love to go driving. I want to see the world. I want to do all this other stuff like that. They think those are the highlights of being a trucker, not dispatch and going into docks and having to unload your trailer because nobody else does it but you, or breaking down a skid and rewrapping it. And no one thinks of any of that stuff when they're looking at the life of what a trucker does.
Yeah, your body's going to go through a lot when you first join the ranks of truckerhood. Okay. Like you said, Ruthann, like seeing the sights, I mean, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
We see nice sunsets. We see nice sunrises. We see nice mountain scenery. But it's not, in fact, most of the time, it's not like that. You know what I mean? A lot of times you're looking around and you're doing your job and you're watching for other cars. So you're not really sitting there gazing at the scenery.
Right.
Like you would as if your wife was driving, you were on your way to the mountain somewhere.
I don't know if your wife was driving and you're on the way to the mountain, I don't think you would be gazing. You'd be telling me, slow down, get over, you're too close.
Well, yeah, I am a backseat driver.
But you love me.
So anyways, message of the week. New guys that are coming into the industry. If you're just starting today, or you've been in it a week, or you've been in it a month, and you feel like quitting, I promise you, we all become robots. Mm-hmm. We do. And I promise you, just hang in there. You'll get used to it. In fact, when you're home for the weekend or every other weekend or whenever you're going home, you'll really be looking forward to getting back out there and doing it again. Once your body gets to what I call robot stage, where you can just literally get in that truck and drive 10, 12, 14. I mean, we used to drive, over our hours, but it was a lot easier on paper logs. Mm-hmm. So once you get used to it, and you will, if you can hang in it. See, Ruthann, most people, they can't. I mean, you ever see that movie G.I. Jane?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so she was the first chick that was going to become a Navy SEAL.
Right, the first female.
And they do what's called washing out. And they start out, and our son, he's a Ranger. Mm-hmm. Okay. They'll start out with a class of 100, and they'll end up with a class of 10. Right. All because of the vigorous training. Well, trucking is the same way. We start out every week with a new amount of graduates in the industry, and within 3 to 6 months, we whittle down because none of them make trucker ranger.
Right. Trucker ranger?
Yeah. the trucker seals. They can't make trucker seal. But it's true. They don't. They wash out. And, if you get it in your mind before you guys get out on the road that you're about to enter boot camp, it is a boot camp, Ruthann.
Yeah, it would be, because you're still under training and you're having to do all the different stuff. Your body's just going through a lot of different changes. Yeah. I mean, it's no doubt that your whole body goes through the change. I mean, you learn how to hold your bladder longer. You're all that bouncing on your spine, your hips, your knees. Your body does go through a lot. That's why there's a couple of drivers out there. There's one that I've seen. I could not tell you what his actual name is. All I know him is by like the burpees guy or something like that. And he does, when he's fueling up his tractor, he will sit there and he'll just do those burpees.
You mean exercises?
Yeah. And he's like, and he gives these different training and different, he's like very motivational. And he's really good as far as like, he'll say, just do a couple of these and then run around your tractor and that's like this much calorie burns or whatever he'll say. I mean, that kind of stuff, if you get into the tractor and this is, you're just starting out, that might be something that you want to start right away with training your body to be accustomed to, so that when you're 20 years into to driving, or even 10 years into the driving, your body doesn't feel like it was 40 years into the driving.
And you bring up a good point where you do learn to hold your bladder longer, or you learn to pee in a empty bottle. Or they actually have like funnels now for people that are driving and want to urinate into a bottle going down the road, to make your trucker bombs in a sense. But
It's so nasty. I know sometimes it has to be done, but
well, I mean, if you're out there driving and it says, you go by the rest stop and then you see a sign that says 35 miles to next rest stop.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it's not a necessity, because it can be.
Right.
I think what it is sometimes drivers have not been very kind to everything afterwards.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're gonna move on here in a second. Like I said, I just wanted the message this week to be to those drivers that are just coming into the industry. And a lot of these new guys are listening to the podcast. They write us, and that would be my advice for the week. Okay, we've talked before about you're gonna miss your family, and you're gonna your whole routine is gonna be different, and blah 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 blah. Right.
Right.
But we haven't really talked to the strenuous part that the mind and body goes through of getting yourself to that moment to where you become a trucker seal or a trucker ranger. I like that, a trucker seal.
A highway ranger.
A highway ranger. But it's true though. These guys that you see out there that have been driving for a long time, those guys, we all started out, the same way. You get. It drags you down until you get used to it. And the more you get used to it, you become like a robot. There's guys out there literally, there's guys out there without drugs can drive 4,000 and 5,000 miles in a week. It's true. They really can. It's not legal to run 5,000 miles as a solo, but I know a lot of truck drivers that can do that because you have to build your stamina up. And so that is the message of the week. Don't let it get to you guys. Push yourselves. Okay, don't ring the bell like on G.I. Jane, Let's hear the bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling. Let's hear it. We don't want to hear you guys tapping out and going home with your tail between your legs. You guys can do it. That's my encouragement. That's my message. Let's take a break. If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them Talk CDL sent you. Hey drivers, are you sick of watching the other drivers bypass the weigh station while you are held up going through yourself? Well, download Drivewyze today at www.drivewyze.com. That's DRIVEWYZE.com, and start bypassing the scales yourself. If you're a small carrier, an owner-operator, or even a big fleet looking for something better, check out Drivewyze today. And remember, there's no equipment, no transponders needed when you're using Drivewyze. Check them out for a free download at www.drivewyze.com. Drivers, if you're looking for a local, home, everyday driving job, apply with Carter Lumber today. They have positions for Class A and Class B local drivers. They can take experienced drivers, students, and non-CDL drivers. With over 160 locations, chances are they have a position for you. So go to carterlumber.com/talkcdl and apply today. Again, that's carterlumber.com/talkcdl. Thank you. Truck Parking Club is a network of instantly reservable daily and monthly truck parking locations throughout the U.S. Truck Parking Club helps connect truckers to truck parking locations throughout the U.S. via truckparkingclub.com. Our networks is made up of property owners that have locations adequate for truck parking to list on the platform. This includes trucking companies, storage companies, CDL schools, trailer leasing companies, real estate investors, truck parking operators, and more. Go to truckparkingclub.com today. All right, Ruth Ann, we're back, and I am reading about a tragedy that happened this week in the Livingston, Texas area. It's above Houston on Highway 59. Unfortunately, here's my notes. It says Gregory Jackson, a 41-year-old truck driver, is in jail and charged with negligent homicide by vehicle. He failed to stop when he ran into a Toyota car that was stopped behind a school bus. He then veered off the car and struck a 15-year-old kid that just got off the bus. The lights were flashing, and you know how they put their little stop sign out. So everybody was stopped, but the trucker ran right up. I don't know what happened. Was he on his phone? Was he not? Obviously, wasn't paying attention. But when he hit the Toyota, he veered off the Toyota car and went into the kid's driveway, and the kid died right there on the scene. And I couldn't help but thinking to myself, the kid's name was Eduardo Flores. He was 15 years old. What a sad story. But I can't help but think, I can't even imagine having to run out of your house if the parents were home to see their child dying in the driveway that just got off the school bus. It's horrible. And, honestly, I feel for the truck driver, his family. There's a lot of lives that were destroyed just by that simple little accident. And I guess he was from Texarkana, the truck driver.
I would hope that people go away with that as a message of paying attention. Well,
that's what I'm saying. A truck driver, if you're a truck driver and you're on the road, that's why earlier when we were talking about seeing the sights out there, in all honesty, a real truck driver, they look at their mirrors. You look at your West Coast mirrors every 5 to 10 seconds. You're looking. I think it's actually 3 to 5 seconds. You're supposed to be just constantly monitoring your mirrors. For anybody coming behind you, anything in the way up ahead, you're constantly doing. That's the job of a truck driver. And the cell phone era has made it so dangerous out there.
That it has.
And I what was going through my mind when I read that story, I'm thinking, how horrible for the family of that child to see him killed in his driveway. But then also, how horrible. And I know a lot of people probably don't feel sorry for the trucker because, obviously he killed the kid. But what goes through my mind is we all make mistakes because we're doing something stupid. But just imagine the regret and him. He's got to be playing it over and over and over in his mind of, oh my gosh, whatever he was doing, he just wishes he could take it back. I know that's how he has to feel.
No, he has to feel that way. I mean, no one takes comfort. Let me rephrase that. No sane person takes comfort in hurting another person. You know what I mean? No matter how angry you are at someone, if you really hurt them, you usually feel guilty or bad about it after you're done being angry or whatever the case might be. So, that just shows that you truly don't really want to do, anything evil. But if you did something like that as an accident, the guilt and the pain has to be tremendous. And, some people can barely make it through that kind of situation. They hold way too much guilt with them then, and they hold that with them forever.
So you drivers out there, use these horrible stories as a way to scare yourself. When you think picking up your phone or checking emails, or I don't know, if you're tired, whatever the case is, this is a very serious charge. Homicide by vehicle. He's probably looking at a good amount of jail time over this.
Has to be.
Yeah. So, and he may never have had even a parking ticket up till this point. and now his whole life is down the drain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, Miss Ruth Ann, I wanted to mention this when we came back from Virginia before.
Okay.
Remember I went on that tour when we were up there. We went on a tour of that Mound. I think it was Moundville or whatever.
The prison.
The prison.
Uh-huh.
It's a prison that's shut down. In fact, if you on the wall, they take you on tours. There's like many movies that were made there.
Really?
Yeah, like Eddie Murphy movies and everything. It's really cool. There's like at least 10 or 20 movies that were made inside the prison.
I wonder when Eddie Murphy was when he was a cop.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if that's, I don't know. I don't know what.
Beverly Hills Cop, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder when he would have been in the prison.
Yeah, I don't know. But what I was going to say, though, is...
Shoot, squirrel. Sorry.
And when we were in the cafeteria, I took a picture of a giant semi-truck that was painted on the wall. And it was by a prisoner had done the artwork. In fact, they tell us that he didn't even know he had this talent until he became a prisoner. His name was, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say was, he's still alive, and he's doing life. But his name is Schmitty Harding. In 1987, he murdered his wife, but he was an over-the-road trucker. And when asked, why did you kill her? He said, because she nagged me.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's the truth, when you're on tour, they tell you this. Anyway, so the story goes, I guess he came home from being out on the road. This is a lesson for you ladies, too, out there.
I'm still shocked. I'm sorry. Because I nag you all the time.
Well, I'm just saying, nagging somebody when you walk in the door after putting on 6,000 to 9,000 miles.
I don't even let you get in the door. I'm usually messaging you when you get home. You need to.
Yeah, ladies, you might just be a little more cautious on the nagging part. You know what I mean? Give them a little time to unwind.
At least wear armor.
Okay, that felt good. Now, where do I bury her? No, but anyways. So the story goes, he comes home from an over-the-road trip, and I guess she nagged him. He kills her. And he stuck her in the freezer. Why you're laughing so hard over there?
Sorry, I'm just...
The poor woman has no legs. She's in a freezer, and you're cracking up. This is something like from 40 years ago. Not that we don't have remorse.
No, I'm actually thinking to myself, I'm so glad I've got deer meat in my freezer. You can't at least put me there.
Yeah, the freezer's full. But anyway, so he cuts her legs off, and obviously they do a well check. This is how they find. Everybody was concerned, where's Mrs. Harding? And so they find her in the freezer. They arrest him. He confesses. He gets life. And ironically, he gets diabetes and has his legs amputated while he's in prison.
That's karma.
That's exactly what the guy doing the tour said. He's like, how ironic is that?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we have the painting on TalkCDL's Facebook page if you want to see it. His name was Schmitty Harding. You can look up his story. There's a PDF you can actually download. He's actually suing one of the prisons that he's in now over some kind of neuropathy or something that he got. But again, I don't even know. I just was kind of briefly reading it. And I just thought it was an interesting story, and how ironic. We're all about trucking, right? I'm in prison, and what do I get? A trucking story from the tour. And I'll tell you what, when they took us on the tour, he said, we had sweatshirts on because it was like 40s outside, right? He said, yeah, when you get inside the prison, it's like, I guess, being in Siberia. He said, it's a lot colder. And we were like, yeah, whatever. So we go in, we're in there for an hour. You go in the cells and all kinds. And you wouldn't believe how cold it is in there. And then you come through all these areas. You come to the cafeteria, and there's this amazing-looking semi-truck that this guy literally painted by hand and drew and everything. It was really cool. So If you get a chance, go on the Facebook page and check it out. And if anybody wants to write to Schmitty, he's in one of the prisons there in West Virginia. You could find him.
Pen pals.
There you go. For all you truckers that want to write to Schmitty. I don't have his address, but anyways. Thought that was an interesting story. Did you not think that's interesting?
I did. I actually, I thought it was interesting. I feel bad for him, you know.
Well, who do you feel bad for, Schmitty or his wife?
Both. For them. I feel bad for them.
But, I mean, I just thought it was, like, really weird how I'm in there and the murder story we get is an over-the-road trucker murder.
I know.
It's like, wow. Anyways, moving on.
Moving
on. So, couple things in the news. I wanted to run by. This is some weird stuff in the news. New York City this week just approved the Stop Spreading the Noise Act. So it says a new sound detecting cameras are going to be issuing tickets for any vehicles that are above 85 decibels. So, like, if you come into an area with, like, your Jake brake or you got loud pipes in your truck or whatever, you know, like some trucks are a lot loud. Like, yeah. I wouldn't think the big trucking companies, you know, with the newer trucks are really going to have an issue there. But there are some trucks that really are loud. They're going to get an $800 ticket for the first and a $2,500 ticket for the second. So if I were any trucking company listening to this podcast, knowing you have to go into New York City, that starts this week. It was just approved. I would make sure my loud truck doesn't go to New York City.
Yeah, and I bet there's like some customs, like some drivers that do some custom work on their trucks. I'm sure there's probably a couple of them that have some loud pipes on them.
I know there are. We hear them going down the road a lot. I'll tell you, you hear a lot of your day cab guys, you know, running around with buckets and stuff. You hear with the loud pipes, Rufus and those guys, you know, some of them older trucks. So you guys be careful if you're going to be going into the boroughs in New York, because they are. You remember we did a story about a year or two ago on how they pay people to rat on truckers if they're idling. Yeah, I mean, that's still going on, by the way.
Do you know what? Since you brought up New York, in Manhattan, they're looking at charging drivers. It's called a congestion fee that they're actually starting to look into proposing. They proposed it, so they're looking into seeing if it could pass or not, this congestion fee for, like, I think it's anything below 60th that they're going to charge. The article didn't tell me how much they're going to charge because it's still in the very first stages. But I thought to myself, you charge for every single thing just to get to there. But now you're going to charge a congestion fee for the drivers that are bringing you food, that are bringing you everything that you need. You want to charge them more.
But would they actually charge delivery trucks?
Yeah, it's literally all any semi truck. So any vehicle that is...
I would think that if, you know, just talking about that for a second, I would almost think that there would be a huge class action lawsuit that states, you requested us to come into your city. How could you charge us with a congestion fee if you're asking us to come there? That's like entrapment. You know what I mean?
That's... You got the exact same that I got on my, you know, when I read it too. I'm like, it has to be more to this article. When I was reading it, it didn't tell me more, but I'm going to have to try and figure it out on, you know, look into it a little bit more to find out why.
Yeah. Okay. I would be interested in hearing the follow up on that. Okay. Next in the news, Indiana, they're going to start fining truckers that park on their ramps, which this is nothing new in some other states. You know, it's just one more. So up till this past week, it looks like DOT and cops were just giving out warnings. But now, especially on I-65 in the Green Park area, but all over Indiana, they're going to now, if you're on the ramps, drivers, you've been getting warnings. Okay, if you're hearing this podcast, do not sleep on the ramps in Indiana, because they're going to start off with a $150 fine, which would really suck. Again, you know, to me, you're fining people that have no choice but to park where they're parking.
Yeah, because they can't either afford to park in some of the truck stops, or they're all full and there's no places for them left to park at.
Well, that's the whole point to what I'm saying. They're finding these guys. I remember my solution for the truck parking. Well, we have the truck parking club for you drivers out there that are, you've heard the commercial just a little while ago, but register to truck parking club. It's free, and if you need a truck parking space in a pinch, it's there. But I do understand, Ruth Ann, the need to not pay for truck parking. I do. I understand that. And, these guys are called into certain cities. My solution is, and I just seen Arizona is adding like 800 new truck parking places in rest area type facilities. They're posing to do that right now. And so my big thing is every state or city, whoever's in charge of those areas, should be obligated to provide for delivery vehicles for parking so they can get the legal rest. Because it's like you just said, like a congestion fee. There should never be a congestion fee for a truck that's requested and paid to come there to deliver their goods. And then on top of it, it should be mandatory that these states, cities, counties, whatever you want to call it, have the capacity on the outsides of their cities for parking with amenities for these guys, Ruth Ann.
Right.
Bathrooms, whatever they're in need of doing, at least for an overnight stay. That's my theory on that. But anyways, last but not least, the FMCSA has given all states orders to revoke any CDL drivers that commit any kind of a sexual assault using, actually I shouldn't say CDL drivers. Well, actually, let me back up. Anybody, first off, that is convicted of using a commercial vehicle for a sexual assault, will lose their license. Class A drivers, it will be revoked. If you commit any kind of an assault sexually in a CMV. That just started this week. And that's all states. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, which I don't have written down here. So moving on, there's something actually important I wanted to talk about for a second. The license of everybody that fails a drug screen this coming November in the clearinghouse. A new rule just went into effect, but it doesn't start till this, almost a year, about 11 months from now. They will automatically revoke or suspend your CDL. Instead, like right now when you fail a drug screen, right? You automatically have what's called obligation to do a return to duty status. Okay? The problem that they've been seeing is you have a lot of companies that don't do the return to duty status, just hire them. Because I've talked to a lot of truckers that had failed drug screens, and you know what they tell me? Well, the company that hired me refused to give me the 6 tests. See, right now what happens is when a guy fails a drug screen, he has to do what's called a return to duty. Then he has to do the SAP program, but then he also has to go through what's called the 6 required random tests in a year. His SAP, substance abuse program provider, has to provide the random dates to the trucking company, not the driver. Right? So, but what's happening is the trucking companies aren't doing that because you know why? Once they get the guy already completed, they feel he'll quit on them and they'll lose a driver, which now they're doing illegal stuff. So now how do they stop this from going on? Well, guess what? This coming November, if you fail or refuse a drug screen and it goes in the clearinghouse, which it has to anyways, your CDL, your license will be now revoked. You will not even have a license. So until you complete return to duty status, and you see, that's the confusing part right there, because in order to do the return to duty status, you'll need to be working for the company.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're coming up with it's basically they're rewriting the program, but definitely now what they're doing is, and because here's the deal, no trucking company in their right mind, hopefully, is going to hire a driver that doesn't have a license. See, they don't, like I said, some of them don't care that you failed the drug screen. They just hire you without, being compliant with the FMCSA's rules. And now they're making it to where driver can't even get a job until certain steps are taken. I don't have no idea what they're going to be, but I know first step is going to be your licenses done. So be careful, guys. If you live in a state where weed is, and I guess each year, Ruth Ann, they vote every time there's new votes. They vote on a lot of these states. They're up to like 11 or 15 or whatever states where you can just smoke weed recreationally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not making it any easier for these drivers, is it?
No. Well, bottom line is don't smoke weed if you got a Class A CDL. I don't care. Even if you have a medical card to smoke weed and you get your Class A CDL, you will be out of trucking.
Yeah, because it's against federal law.
See, a lot of guys think that. And
they don't think the both. They don't think that it. See, you're federally regulated as a truck driver, not state regulated. You're federally regulated. That's why it's called FMCSA.
Right. I keep trying to warn people about it on the show here. Because, there's just thousands of guys every week across the country that fail the drug screen. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to warn these guys because I don't think they realize the hassle they have to go through to be a driver again. And now this new rule that's kicking in this coming year is going to be a nightmare for a lot of these guys.
Well, not only that, a few of my friends that I have, I know you have friends in the trucking companies, but I got a few too.
Okay.
They don't want to hire SAP drivers. They don't, there's so many drivers right now coming back into the industry that they're getting overwhelmed, not overwhelmed, let's put it this way, but they're getting good drivers that are starting to come in and apply with these different companies, and they're going to take the driver that doesn't have any baggage, period.
Yeah, right now it is tough, and we'll probably talk about that on the next podcast, but you're right about that. Right now, SAP drivers are hurting. Guys that abandon trucks are hurting. Guys that have accidents, guys that have too many jobs, they're all hurting right now. They're willing to do anything they want to work. I believe, Lord willing, it's going to turn around. Hopefully, we'll see. The trucking industry is the first to see the bad times and the first to see the good times.
I think so too. And you know what? Well, like you said, it's another podcast, but there's some really good advice that we can give that's now creeping up as far as like getting your information. If you're with a trucking company, take a picture of your DOT number. Just heading out there. Just get some pictures of it so that you have proof of work. Keep a couple pay stubs.
That's actually real quick. Let's touch on that for a second. A lot of drivers right now that work for a lot of these companies that are going out of business can't get work,
right?
Because there's no proof that they were actually driving. They don't even have 1099s. Guys, keep record, like Ruth Ann just said. Keep record of what you're doing. If you're with a trucking company that is only has a couple of trucks, there's a good chance when you leave there that they're not going to try to help you get another job. So like Ruth Ann said, take a picture of the DOT number, make sure you have copies of your 1099s, make sure you have proof that you actually work there. It will be helping you at least with the next employer, because a lot of these companies that are hiring right now, they're being picky and they're really going over driver references with a fine-tooth comb. So keep record, drivers.
Any way that you can.
Yep. So anyways, moving on. Ruth Ann, I just want to say a couple things, as we're coming to the end of this podcast. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Drive safe.
Keep your loved ones in your prayers. Prayer to me is the most powerful thing you can do for anybody. The truck shows that we're going to be doing, we want to mention them again. We'll be at Matt's. I guess that's at the end of March. We'll be at Matt's in Louisville. Come see us at our booth. We have a corner booth. We'll be at the truck show in Fort Lauderdale in February. If you're cold and freezing, request to get a load down to South Florida and come see Talk CDL. We'd love to say hi, let you sit with us and do a little video work, maybe some interviews and all the other good jazz. Ruth Ann, what do you got for us?
Our booth number at Matt's is 66105, and it's March 21st through the 23rd.
Awesome. Come see us. Sit down and hang out with Talk CDL. Give us a story that we can put on air. We always have our podcast equipment with us when we're at these truck shows.
We do.
And I've got interviews from last year I haven't even put up yet.
I know. I don't know why.
Well, I just got to get them up. We've gotten so busy, and I've had people write to us going, hey, when's my interview going to get up? So I promise you, the interviews will get up. In fact, I got to get them up before the next show. Sorry, guys, that it's taken so long, but we've got so much stuff with videos and podcasts and all that other good stuff going on, but we will get to everybody's stuff. Anyways, moving on. Ruth Ann, you got the word of the day.
I do.
What is it?
It's actually something this is a new one for me. I never knew this word. Ready?
Yes.
Crack.
Did you just say crack?
Crack.
Like C-R-A-C-K?
Well, it's spelled C-R-A-I-C.
Crack?
Crack.
So does it have anything to do with a crack, like we know it?
No.
Okay, does it have anything to do with crack cocaine? Really?
Well, once you hear the definition, I guess some people would say, yeah, that goes together perfectly. I didn't think of that, though, until you said that. But I will tell you, it's Irish.
Craig?
And it's from 1970s.
Oh, what
and
is
it's
it?
a noun.
Let's hear the definition.
Enjoyable social activity. A good time.
Crack.
There you go.
Try crack.
But you got to add that Irish brogue.
So Talk CDL can endorse crack now.
Having a good time.
Yeah, no, not that kind of crack. Anyways, Ruth Ann, you drivers out there, stay safe. I mean that sincerely. Stay safe. We really pray that you guys make it home for the holidays. Write into us. Anybody that would like to get on the podcast, we're going to be doing interviews soon. And stay in touch with us. Ruth Ann, do you have any last minute words?
If you have your truck decorated, send me a picture.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Send us some decorated.
I want to see some decorated trucks.
Yeah, let's get them up on the Facebook page for everybody this year. Perfect. All right, Ruth Ann, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.